Disney World has a ton of all-you-can-eat restaurants all around the property, but which ones are going to give you the best food, the best entertainment, and the best variety of the bunch? We are ranking them all today just for you to find out here on DFB Guide, but there are going to be some surprises. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Hope you're hungry because we're about to rank every single all-you-can-eat meal inside the Disney World bubble. Now, all these restaurants are going to take time out of your day to experience, and they're all going to be on the more expensive side of things. So just to cover my bases here, if you want to make a reservation for one of these spots, you're going to need to prepare the time and money for them ahead of your trip. And there are two types of all-you-can-eat experience. One is the buffet-style dining where you go to the food, and the other is the family-style dining where the food comes to you. Also, there are some restaurants people might think should be on here, like Topolino's Terrace at Disney's Riviera Resort, Cinderella's Royal Table at Magic Kingdom, but these kinds of restaurants are not all you can eat, despite them being character dining experiences, which a lot of times go hand in hand. And at some points in time, those restaurants were all you can eat, and they're not anymore, at least not officially, according to Disney. So you're not going to see them popping up on today's list. If you enjoy checking out the DFB team's restaurant rankings, we do have a top 10 restaurants list that we've created for each of the parks, as well as Disney Springs, and we'd love to send it your way for free, so be sure to scan that QR code you see on the screen now, or head over to disneyfoodblog.com/top-restaurants to request a copy of that list today. All right, we are getting started. These are listed worst to best. But remember, we're taking in a lot of information for consideration here. There are going to be some surprises on this list. Hopefully, you'll give us the chance to explain ourselves in this video of why we put things where we put them. Okay, first, we're starting with Whispering Canyon Cafe. This is an interactive and rustic restaurant located inside Disney's Wilderness Lodge. Now, just because it's at the bottom of the list doesn't mean it's not an awesome restaurant. There's lots to recommend Whispering Canyon Cafe, but there are some cons as well. So whether you decide to eat here for brunch or dinner, you're going to be waited on hand and foot by quite a kooky cast of servers who've made it their sole mission to entertain and confuse you. The servers at Whispering Canyon have a lot of fun with the guests, so if you want a straw, be prepared for a straw rainstorm. If you need a refill, you might be brought a variety of cups in different sizes, some huge and some tiny, all Alice in Wonderland style. If you request ketchup, you might get 10 to 12 plus bottles before you finally say it's enough bottles. And you might even get put in jail. Now, if you absolutely love meals where the servers will sass you and heckle you in a fun way and poke fun at everyone at your table, this is your place. However, if you've got a family member or friend who'd prefer a quiet, relaxing meal or who doesn't like their meal with a performance and a side order of secondhand embarrassment, then this might not be the place for you. By the way, don't forget, at restaurants like this, you can always let your server know that you'd rather not take part in the antics, and then you can just watch from afar. Now, when it comes to the food, you've got your choice of family-style barbecue skillets here. For brunch, you can either get a skillet of traditional breakfast grub, a lighter brunch spread with options like egg white spinach frittata and turkey bacon, or you can get the carnivore option, which is just a whole lot of smoked meats to start off your day. When you get into the dinner portion of the menu, the skillets look a little different. You've got that traditional carnivore option still, but you've also got a surf and turf option, a strictly pork-based option, and a plant-based option too, with stuff like maple chipotle barbecued jackfruit and sauteed green beans. The nice thing about Whispering Canyon Cafe is that you're not completely subject to the all-you-can-eat grub. There are also a la carte portions on each of the menus too. If you'd rather not share your food with everyone else, go for one of these. That being said, if you're looking for food that's really going to blow you away, it's probably not going to be here. As fun and quirky as this restaurant is, the menu isn't exactly full of the most incredibly unique food, since barbecue options are so prevalent literally everywhere around Disney World, which you'll see more later on in the video. So pros for Whispering Canyon: it's got a carnivore and plant-based skillet, that's awesome. Servers are a ton of fun, and it's great for bigger groups and families. Cons: it's another one that's not big on being a quiet meal. It's not a great date night offering, and you might get a lot of food and tasty food, but it's mostly barbecue offerings, so nothing super unique here. Next on our list is Hollywood and Vine. Now, this, of course, is in Hollywood Studios, and it's a restaurant that's constantly changing its menu and its character element. So currently, Hollywood and Vine highlights Playhouse Disney characters, including Doc McStuffins, Fancy Nancy, Vampirina, and Roadster Goofy, during breakfast, And then when lunch and dinner rolls around, Minnie Mouse hosts themed parties alongside her friends, Mickey, Donald, Daisy, and Goofy, that go along with each season. So be prepared for some super cute specialty costumes for the characters. It's nice to know that you could have a totally different character dining experience depending on when your vacation is. Again, the character dining is what drives this all-you-can-eat restaurant. So if you're not super interested in meeting the characters and getting their autographs, then you might want to pass this one up. While there's always a ton of food variety on the buffet line, ranging from herb tenderloin and olive oil potatoes and pan-seared salmon and slow-roasted pork belly, nothing here completely stands out flavor-wise. There's nothing that I'm going to go visit just for that. And ironically enough, kids might not enjoy as many of the buffet options here as they would someplace else. Yes, there are always the kids' menu options on the buffet: chicken strips, corn dog nuggets, mac and cheese. But at $36 per kid, you can totally find those exact same options someplace else for way cheaper if that's all they end up wanting to eat. Pros on this one: seasonal character dining, super fun. Different character dining for breakfast, so if you have a toddler who's super into those Disney Channel shows, this is a great one for them. And lots of variety on the buffet spread. Cons for this one: quantity versus quality. Nothing really stands out as being amazing here food-wise. And if you eat here for breakfast without kids, the characters you meet are all for way younger audiences than you may be familiar with. And despite the variety, this can still be a hard one for picky eaters since options tend to be a little bit more adventurous, like beef stew with root veggies. I know, get wild. All right, Cape May Cafe is next. This is a different dining experience depending on when you make reservations. So during breakfast, you're going to be able to take part in Minnie's Beach Bash, which is a character dining experience where Minnie, Donald, Daisy, and Goofy will be dressed in their swimwear, ready for a day out by the water. Notice that I did not mention Mickey. That's right, Mickey is not at this one, which could make or break the day for you. But for dinner, Minnie and friends will be long gone to the beach, meaning the restaurant transforms into a very chill buffet with lots of surf and turf options, but no characters. Now, I really like Cape May Cafe, but it doesn't cater a whole lot to those who don't like seafood or for those who eat a plant-based diet. It's also hard to choose Cape May Cafe when Epcot is literally right there, because if you have an Epcot ticket, you're going to have access to a lot more unique food options once you get into the park, since you'll have the whole World Showcase at your disposal. But what I will say for Cape May is that it'll more than satisfy any seafood cravings you're having if you go for that dinner meal. Now the pros here: very cute character breakfast theming, very on-point beach vibes. It's good for seafood fans for dinner, and only steps away from Epcot. Cons: characters only come for breakfast. No more endless crab legs. This is a huge deal, y'all. I'm not sure if a lot of you used to go to this dinner buffet specifically because you could get those all-you-can-eat king crab legs. Well, guess what? Now you actually have to pay extra on top of your regular meal price if you want those babies. So just a heads up on that one. It's going to change a lot of plans. And this is also not great for plant-based eaters. Lots of meat here, especially seafood, but not necessarily enough stuff on that buffet for the plant-based eaters. Okay, next is Chef Mickey's. Now hold up, AJ. Why is the Chef Mickey's restaurant, the one that almost everyone tries to make dining reservations for, this low on the list? Okay, I will speak to this question, do not worry, but little housekeeping. Chef Mickey's is housed in Disney's Contemporary Resorts, only steps away from Magic Kingdom, and I'm going to tell you right off the bat that the best part about this buffet-style restaurant is the fact that you can meet all 5 Fab 5 characters right there during and after your meal. So Minnie, Goofy, Donald, and Pluto will come out to give high fives, lead conga lines, and participate in some good old-fashioned napkin twirling while you dine on either breakfast options like waffles and French toast, or dinner options like vegetable noodle stir-fry, shrimp and grits, and a bunch of classic favorites for kids. Now, kids are going to love this experience. It's fun and bright and interactive, and it has food they're actually going to like, which is why reservations are so tough to get for this place. But not every kid will be in love with this experience. If you're trying to escape Magic Kingdom for a bit to unwind after copious amounts of overstimulation all morning, Chef Mickey's is not the place you need to turn to because the energy levels stay high here at all times. Not to mention if you're on the hunt for really high quality eats. Chef Mickey's is more of a jack of all trades, master of none sort of place. But if you've got your heart set on Chef Mickey's like so many other guests do each and every day, book reservations just as soon as you can. Now, pros for Chef Mickey's: you get to meet all 5 of the Fab 5. That's awesome. Again, another decent breakfast spread that'll help you do character dining for less, and it's a good option for picky eaters. There's lots for them to choose from for all the meals. Cons: not best for those who want a quieter dining experience. Reservations are real hard to get, and this place is expensive. and the food is okay, but nothing mind-blowing. Overall, I feel like Chef Mickey's is just an onslaught of chaos in your day, and you may already have enough chaos in your day, so maybe this is not the right choice for you if that's the case. Next up is Biergarten over in Epcot's Germany Pavilion. This is one of those all-you-can-eat meals that you're either going to love or polka your way on out of the premises. Biergarten is a theater-style restaurant filled with long, family-style tables where Oktoberfest happens all year long, so get your beer glasses raised and ready to celebrate. The Biergarten dining room transports you into a small German town complete with a stage, autumn foliage, and a full moon glowing off in the distance. Up on stage, German performers showcase authentic Oktoberfest numbers throughout the day with lederhosen and all. The entertainment here truly makes this restaurant a standout experience. You've got singing, you've got dancing, toasting. Even your kids might be welcome to come up to the stage and jam with the German performers, making this experience a really fun one for the whole family, even without the character meet and greets that don't exist here, just FYI. And let's not forget, you can order liters of beer here, so you know it's going to be a good time. That's a big glass of beer. The main downsides of this restaurant, however, can be pretty big deterrents if you're already on the fence about whether or not you want to make a reservation. First of all, the German-inspired buffet spread is definitely unique, but because it mostly consists of adventurous options like schnitzel and sausages and sauerkraut and spätzle and noodle gratin, kids and picky eaters alike might not be too thrilled by the limited options they'll have to choose from here. If you really like sausage, you're good, but if you don't, then there's less to choose from. Secondly, seating is family style here, so unless you've got a huge group tagging along with you, you'll more than likely be seated with another family. Now, this can be a huge problem for introverts like me. I just feel stressed out and I don't know what to say to people, and it just ruins my meal because I'm like, I just want to enjoy my sausage, and I have to talk to Bill and Judy from Seattle, and I don't know what to say to not make myself sound dumb. Anyway, so you get it, you see the anxiety. That could be you if you're like me. And finally, much like Chef Mickey's, Biergarten is by no means a meal where you'll find serenity. So if you're looking for a little peace and quiet away from all the Epcot hectic chaos for an hour or so, choosing a restaurant with accordions and polka dancing maybe isn't your best choice. But all that stuff aside, I still love Biergarten. I don't know why. I just have a special place in my heart for this restaurant. Even if I do have to sit by Bill and Judy, they're usually very nice, and I figure out how to manage. All right, pros: dinner and a show inside Epcot. An authentic German experience, I love it. A buffet that's not automatically tied to a character dinner, which means prices tend to be lower. You can order those liters of beer. And the decor here is just super beautiful. You're supposed to be outside in a German square dining at obviously an Oktoberfest, and it's just really well done. It's looked this way for, 30 years, but I just think it's gorgeous. Cons, not best for picky eaters. Again, if your kids aren't into sausage, or if they're gonna feel weird about a kind of a brick of mac and cheese instead of like a bowl of mac and cheese, this might not be right for them. It's also not a quiet meal, like we said, and if you're a smaller group, you may have to share your table with other guests. Next on the list is Roundup Rodeo BBQ. This is the newest all-you-can-eat restaurant sandwiched inside Hollywood Studios' Toy Story Land. It's earned itself a spot on our list that's smack dab in the middle of things. And the reason it's not any higher isn't because of what the restaurant is, but rather what it isn't. Roundup Rodeo BBQ takes guests on this really colorful, exciting Toy Story themed adventure with a dining room theme to look like another Andy creation. So you'll be dining among oversized board games, cardboard cutouts, building blocks, and tons of other toy sets that'll introduce you to new and familiar characters alike. There are very slight similarities between Roundup Rodeo and Whispering Canyon Cafe. For starters, both restaurants serve up barbecue comfort classics in a family-style fashion, so expect portions of house-smoked meats and classic barbecue sides and miniature sweet surprises in mason jars to show up at your table while you're here. Both restaurants also have interactive elements, though Roundup Rodeo's immersiveness isn't going to be as in your face as Whispering Canyon's straw-throwing servers. At some point during your meal, you're going to hear Sarge, the Green Army Man from Toy Story series, shout out, "Andy's coming!" And when this happens, that's everyone's cue, both servers and guests alike, to freeze in position. After all, you are a toy, and toys can't be caught moving on their own. All in all, there's some real good vibes going on at Roundup Rodeo BBQ, and each time the team and I have come here, we've left pretty satisfied. So here's the big argument I have against it. And once again, it's a similar argument that I had with Whispering Canyon. There is so much good barbecue in Disney World, So is the barbecue at Roundup Rodeo good? Well, yeah, it's better than what you'll find at Whispering Canyon. And would I do just about anything right now for one of those Prospector's homemade cheddar biscuits with sweet pepper jelly? Probably. But if what you're really after is just good barbecue, and you could take or leave the rest of the Toy Story experience if it meant finding good barbecue for cheaper, you can do that. Some other solid barbecue options you can find around Disney World include Regal Eagle right there in Epcot, Flame Tree Barbecue in Animal Kingdom, Polite Pig in Disney Springs. But if you love Toy Story and barbecue, you're going to be over the moon for this place. Just be sure to jump on those advanced dining reservations as soon as you can, since this place books up fast. All right, pros on this one. Colorful and immersive dining room. Great for Toy Story fans, and one of the few places that's actually air-conditioned in Toy Story Land. Cons? Other barbecue options on property that are way cheaper and better. It has a character meet and greet vibe, but it isn't one. That's problematic probably for a lot of kids, and it's hard to get reservations for. Okay, we're headed over to our first princess meal, Akershus Royal Banquet Hall. This is currently the only other table service restaurant inside Disney World where you're going to have the chance to meet princesses all in one meal. And I say other because the one that everybody thinks of first, of course, is Cinderella Castle. Now, Akershus doesn't take place in Cinderella Castle like Cinderella's royal table. It does offer up a very similar princess dining experience, though, where you can meet characters like Snow White, Jasmine, Belle, Tiana, Princess Aurora, and Ariel, all in a truly royal castle-like setting. Now, those princesses do switch out, so don't be upset if you don't get those exact ones. Also, you are still dining in a castle. It does feel castle-y in there. It just doesn't feel as castle-y as Cinderella Castle. Okay, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner are all served family style here. And while the breakfast spread keeps things pretty traditional, lunch and dinner are a little bit more Scandinavian, with platters of Norwegian meatballs, red cabbage, Norwegian chicken and dumplings, and lots of other Norway-inspired eats and sides. I think Akershus can be a great choice for families, especially families who want to prioritize meeting and greeting a bunch of princesses at once without having to wait in forever long lines for them inside the parks or pay a ton more to go to Cinderella Castle. But I think Akershus also misses the mark for both picky eaters and adventurous eaters alike. It's kind of the wrong balance. Now, if you choose to dine here for breakfast, options can be a little too safe and too familiar and very similar to what you're going to find at a continental breakfast spread at your hotel. However, on the opposite side of things, lunch and dinner can be a little bit too adventurous for pickier eaters who don't really want to have unlimited refills of red cabbage and Norwegian meatballs. So, for families that have a mix of both picky and adventurous eaters, this can be a hard one to make everyone happy food-wise. But the fact that this is a princess dining experience that doesn't automatically book up right when those reservations open might make up for the wishy-washy meals. Now, pros on this one: an easier way to meet princesses in a castle setting versus Cinderella's royal table. Breakfast is good for picky eaters, but later meals are good for more adventurous eaters, and beautiful dining room setting. Cons on this one: reverse the pro. Breakfast might be too tame, and later meals might be too adventurous. It still isn't going to be as grand as eating in Cinderella Castle, which, could be a regret. And it could still be overwhelming for kids to meet a ton of princesses all at once, since these characters do talk. Next up is Crystal Palace over in Magic Kingdom. This is an all-you-can-eat buffet that we talk about often on this channel, and for good reason. It's open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's got a beautiful view of Cinderella Castle. It's the only character dining location where you're going to be able to meet the 100 Acre Wood Gang, and it's got some pretty tasty options on the buffet line that even your kids are going to love. So what's the problem here? Well, for lots of us, there isn't one. What I just listed off is exactly the kind of criteria you're looking for when it comes to Disney character dining. But for others, the vibes might not be calling their name. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner serve copious amounts of food that'll keep you full and satisfied. For breakfast, you've got options like pancakes, waffles, biscuits, and gravy. For lunch and dinner, you've got country fried chicken, ravioli, carved prime rib, and shrimp creole. For the most part, the food here is pretty tame flavor-wise. That being said, while there are plant-based items featured on the buffet, there's a much bigger focus on meat-based items here, so my herbivore friends might run into a way more limited selection of options and still have to pay the same price. Pros on this one: the ability to have 2 meals at once if you time your breakfast reservation right. You're going to see all the 100 Acre Wood crew. That's, of course, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet too, and Sweet Eeyore. And of course, you can bounce with Tigger, and there are lots of safe options to choose from here for picky eaters. Now, cons: as for adventurous eaters, the food here is pretty tame. Also, not a whole lot of choices for plant-based eaters either, and if you're not a Winnie the Pooh fan, then this character meet and greet will be lost on you. I will also add another little con here. This is a huge cavernous restaurant. There are a lot of people in here. They're all seated very close together. So just a heads up on that. That's kind of the vibe that turns me off of Crystal Palace sometimes, is I just don't want to be that close to that many people. And it can feel a little overwhelming in there sometimes. All right, you're ready for dinner and dancing and singing and hoedowns and unlimited refills, even for the adult beverages. Well, when you make reservations for Hoop-Dee-Doo Musical Revue in Disney's Fort Wilderness, you're making reservations for a real good time. Hoop-Dee-Doo takes place in a large barn, but instead of this barn being filled with horses and cows, it's filled with hungry guests chowing down on family-style buckets of food like fried chicken and ribs and mashed potatoes and tons of other good old comfort classics that you can enjoy while the Pioneer Hall players entertain you with songs and dance numbers and plenty of corny jokes. Once again, this is a restaurant that might pull you out of your comfort zone. Hoop-Dee-Doo thrives on audience participation, so don't be shocked if you're suddenly pulled up on stage to join in the fun. Of course, no one's going to force you to go up on stage if you don't want to, but if you've always wanted to perform in Disney World, hey, now's your chance. And this might be a good time to talk about liquid courage. So along with the all-you-can-eat grub, non-alcoholic drinks and certain alcoholic drinks are included with the price of your meal, and they're refillable too. So you're gonna get beer, wine, and sangria unlimited, but heads up, it's not the best beer, wine, and sangria you've ever had, just so you know. All right. You already know Hoop-Dee-Doo is more fun than a barrel of monkeys, or in this case, a bucket of fried chicken. Now, let's talk about the major hiccups of booking a reservation here, because it works a little differently than the other restaurants on property. There are typically 3 show times per evening for Hoop-Dee-Doo, 4 p.m., 6:15, and 8:30. And showings only happen Wednesdays to Sundays, so no Monday and Thursday resis for now. Once you select a show time that works for you, you'll have another decision to make, where you want to sit. There are 3 seating categories that guests can choose from. While every seat in the house offers a decent view, the Category 3 tables have turnstools where you must swivel to view the show, and you face a different direction from your actual table where you're eating. So if you don't mind splurging a few more dollars, you may want to stick with sitting in either Category 1 or 2. That's a decision I always do. Now, one last thing to note about Hoop-Dee-Doo. Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort can take a while to get to, especially if you're not staying as a guest at one of the cabins or campgrounds there. Take a gander at the bus and boat systems to be sure you have plenty of time to get to Fort Wilderness before your reservation time. And note that Disney recommends you arrive 30 minutes prior to your scheduled show time. Just a tip from me, I always try to take the boat over to Fort Wilderness from Magic Kingdom to go to Hoop-Dee-Doo, because if I have to take the bus over there and figure out the internal bus system, I get real lost. Okay, pros for Hoop-Dee-Doo, dinner and a show, sign us up. There's also lots of comfort food, not the best comfort food in the world, but there's lots of it, and it includes fountain drinks and certain alcoholic beverages for 21 and over, unlimited. Cons, no bookings for Mondays and Tuesdays, no show fee is killer, so be sure to cancel if you can't go ahead of time, and this could be way out of your way since it's all the way over at Fort Wilderness. All right, friends, we've now reached the point in the video where we'll be talking about the top 5 all-you-can-eat restaurants in Disney World property. There are a ton of other restaurants left to explore though. Quick services, prix fixe dining, standard table services with a la carte menus. We're talking hundreds of restaurants just waiting to be discovered by you and your taste buds. So if you want to keep reading up on all the different restaurants that the most magical place on earth has to offer, head on over to dfbstore.com and order that digital copy of the DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining. Not only will this 3-part book give you full descriptions for each and every Disney World restaurant on property, because you know what, we've been to all of them lots of times, it'll also hook you up with budgeting worksheets, scavenger hunts, honest reviews, and tons more that'll set you up for success while you're dining around the property. And be sure to type in code YouTube before you check out to save some money on your total purchase. All right, we're headed into the top 5. We're going to Animal Kingdom first for this next all-you-can-eat meal because it's time to get our safari on. Tusker House, over in the Africa section of the park, is themed to look like a safari company's offices and waiting areas. Because what better way to pregame your Kilimanjaro safari adventure than by eating a ton of really good food, right? Reservations here are available for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but there really aren't any wrong choices unless you're looking for a slightly cheaper dining experience. Then you need to go the breakfast route. While breakfast does have the typical morning eats like breakfast potatoes and overnight oats, it also has a few more unique options too, like zebra coffee cake, Simba waffles, and beef babooti, aka a type of African quiche. Meanwhile, lunch and dinner keep the interesting eats coming with more flavorful African-inspired entrees and sides like a whole bread station with tons of dipping sauces to choose from. House specialties like chicken curry and za'atar braised beef, vegetarian offerings like the roasted root vegetables and plant-based jollof rice with Beyond sausage, and really some incredible mac and cheese. And they also have chicken legs and usually corn dog nuggets, but I love the mac and cheese here. I don't know why, it's real good. Oh, and let's not forget one of the biggest selling points of this place. It's a character dining experience where you can meet Donald, Daisy, Goofy, and Mickey all dressed up in their safari best, which are probably some of the cutest outfits they have. Now, I know the character dining edition might actually be a huge turnoff for some who'd rather not pay the extra cost in exchange for one-on-one interaction time. But if you want to feed two birds with one scone and meet characters while you fill up on really adventurous food options, then Tusker House might be the place for you. Just make sure you got your safari gear packed because you're gonna need it. Another secret tip about Tusker House for parents out there is sometimes if you give your kids the opportunity to meet all these characters and the menu offerings are a little bit more adventurous, they may be willing to try some different stuff because they feel safe because this is Mickey's house and stuff. So that's just another little tip from me to you. All right, pros for Tusker House. It's the cutest safari meet and greet ever. The theming is 10 out of 10, from the characters to the dining rooms to even the eats. It's a great variety of food options too. The cons, no Minnie Mouse here, too sad. Might be too unique of a food spread for some. And again, if you're not a fan of character meals, you'll probably pay more than you want to for food here. All right, next is the Liberty Tree Tavern and Diamond Horseshoe combo. Is it cheating to have two restaurants sharing the fourth place spot? No, and I'll tell you why, because Diamond Horseshoe would never be in this list if it wasn't for Liberty Tree Tavern pulling it up. So when it comes to these two Magic Kingdom restaurants, my allegiance lies with Liberty Tree over in Liberty Square, which is a family-style restaurant themed after a late 17th century home. Now, the food you're going to find here is the very definition of comfort and Thanksgiving and warm hugs. In the Patriots platter, you're going to be offered up roasted turkey, pot roast, oven roasted pork, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, seasonal veggies, and herb stuffing. Then there's dessert, which is this glorious ooey gooey toffee cake topped with vanilla ice cream and chocolate sauce and caramel and all my hopes and dreams. I do not know why this dessert is as good as it is. It's more than the sum of its parts. Just give it a chance. Anyway, so here's where the Diamond Horseshoe comes in. Diamond Horseshoe's in Frontierland, but it's actually right next to Liberty Tree Tavern. And once upon a time, the Diamond Horseshoe was yet again another barbecue joint, and a pretty mediocre one at that. But ever since it reopened after the 2020 closures, it's been serving up essentially the same menu as Liberty Tree Tavern. The only difference being that instead of the family-style foods being called a Patriots platter, they're part of a saloon feast here to match the Old West music hall vibes. But the ooey gooey toffee cake is still the same, so that's what's really important. Now, it's also worth noting that plant-based eaters might not enjoy this meal nearly as much since the only meat alternative available is an Impossible Meatloaf. And the Impossible Meatloaf is the only thing I'd really consider mediocre here. Even one of our reporters who typically eats and likes Impossible meat thought this option was too mushy and the texture was a little bit off for their liking. So for all my plant-based eaters out there, this restaurant might not be worth the price you pay for it in the end. But the thing that can be dodgy here is that if you make a reservation for Liberty Tree Tavern and they have too many people booked, they might seat you in Diamond Horseshoe, which I don't think is as good an experience because I'd rather eat in Liberty Tree Tavern. Just a heads up on that. Keep an eye out for it. So pros on this one. Holiday fans, rejoice, it's Thanksgiving all year round. There's two places with the same food, so that means you got a better reservation chance, and we will do anything for ooey gooey toffee cake. Now, cons. Non-holiday fans, steer clear, look for more adventurous eats elsewhere. And if either restaurant is too busy, again, you might be placed at the other location, even if you preferred the dining room of the one you actually booked. And it's not great for plant-based eaters. All right, you thought this was going to be the top restaurant. I know you did, but it's not. It's here. It's Garden Grill, taking home the bronze today, located on the second floor of the Land Pavilion inside Epcot. Y'all, I know that you've got a literal whole world showcase of restaurants to choose from in Epcot. You've got amazing food in the UK and France and Morocco and Mexico and Canada. You even got brand new restaurant over in Japan. And sure, Garden Grill's family-style dining might not be the most unique out there, but boy howdy, the quality of the food here makes up for it. The rotating menu for lunch and dinner is a Chippendale Harvest Feast featuring items like grilled beef with chimichurri, barbecue roasted chicken, harvest-inspired garden salad featuring ingredients grown within the Land Pavilion's very own greenhouses, rolls, veggies, and a berry shortcake for dessert. Meanwhile, breakfast features all sorts of traditional fare, including eggs and Mickey waffles, along with cinnamon breakfast loaf and grilled flank steak with ranchero sauce. And while the food here gets a huge thumbs up from us, the atmosphere gets 2 thumbs up. Honestly, I'm realizing doing this video how important the atmosphere and the experience is to whether or not I really like or enjoy a restaurant. Like if I'm already feeling peopled out in the parks, going to a restaurant that I'm sitting just right next to more people is kind of annoying. That's why I love this restaurant, where if you get one of those booths, you can't really see the people on either side of you. You're just there with your family. You're like in this little enclosed little shell of relaxation, and then you get to see characters. It's lovely. Anyway, atmosphere. 1 thumb for the epic character dining, where you get to meet Farmer Mickey, Pluto, Chip, and Dale. Another thumb for this being the only slow rotating restaurant on property, meaning all booths will have a view of the scenes from the Living with the Land attraction down below as you slowly pass on by. So there's a lot going on here that you're not going to get at other restaurants. And yeah, I don't hide my love for Garden Grill, like ever. I'm sorry. Pros for this one. Great comfort foods for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Lots of opportunities to meet characters, because remember, this is a smaller restaurant than some of the more popular character restaurants, and so you're going to see the characters multiple times instead of just once. It's also a rotating restaurant. Come on. Cons for this one. It's one of the more tame dining options in Epcot. Lots of other adventurous eats elsewhere. And this could also keep you from wanting to try a whole lot of festival foods, which could make you feel like you're missing out on a big chunk of the Epcot experience. And why'd they take the goldfish off the mac and cheese? That was really rude. Okay, second place on the list. Dude, it is hard, like very hard to put Boma as second place on this list, because it is one of my go-to places for all-you-can-eat offerings that are just as unique as they are flavorful and exciting. But there was one restaurant that I think tops it just barely, but I'll be interested to see if you agree with me or not. A lot of you won't. First, let's sing some Boma praises. Boma is located in Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge and gives guests the opportunity to sample flavorful African dishes and also offer up some American favorites during both breakfast and dinner so that the picky eaters aren't completely left high and dry. Much like Tusker House, breakfast and dinner both have their major highlights. For breakfast, you got your choice of entrees and sides like fresh fruit, African pastries, omelets, carved ham, feta and spinach scrambled eggs, and bobotie. For dinner, Boma's buffet offers favorites prepared with an African accent like curry salmon, fire-grilled meats, African soups, hummus and pita, and African salads. Now, a really awesome part about this whole Boma dining experience is the authenticity of it. And I'm not just talking about the food, though that is a big part of it. I'm talking about the cast members too. Many of the cast members at Boma are cultural interpreters from the African continent, so be sure to ask any questions you may have about their home countries. While Boma might be a little too adventurous for some, flavor-wise, this buffet has earned its second place title proudly for presenting us with signature dining quality eats day after day, night after night at a more affordable price point than most of the other options on this all-you-can-eat list. Also, did I mention zebra domes? Yeah, they have zebra domes. Okay, pros. One of the most unique breakfast buffet offerings out there. Signature dining at a more affordable price point, and the theming is 10 out of 10 because you're at Animal Kingdom Lodge. Cons? It's another one that's kind of out of the way if you're not already in the area, so it could take a long time to get there. Could be a little bit too adventurous for some in terms of the dining, and maybe if you're just looking for zebra domes and that's it, you can go to the Mara for those and you don't have to pay for the whole meal. All right, our best of the best. Who's shocked? Not me. It's Ohana over at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort. It's our gold medal champion today, and I know a lot of you are disagreeing with me. There's a lot of folks who are like, it's gone downhill. It's not as good as it used to be. I get it. I hear it. I think it's probably true, but it's still a great restaurant. Now, Ohana is a glassed-in restaurant punctuated by a huge cooking fire in the heart of the dining room, and it's cooking up a whole lot of Polynesian-style churrascaria-type service for dinner. The family-style offerings here include grilled meats, Hawaiian specialty sides, shout out to those Ohana noodles here, and that all-too-wonderful signature Ohana bread pudding for dessert. Now, if the stars align and you get a table right next to the window around the time that the Magic Kingdom's fireworks show begins, then you can enjoy viewing Happily Ever After from inside the restaurant. I'm not crying over my Ohana noodles, you're crying over your Ohana noodles. Now, a fireworks viewing table isn't guaranteed, but you can always request one when you're checking in with the host at the start of your meal. They won't always be able to accommodate your request, but it never hurts to try. And don't forget, don't ask for a window table. There's lots of window tables that don't have a great view of the fireworks. Ask for a fireworks view table. Now, if you visit Ohana in the morning, you're going to get to meet Lilo, Stitch, Mickey, and Pluto all dressed up in their Hawaiian finest for the best friends breakfast. Breakfast may not trump the dinner offerings, in my opinion, but they still managed to put a Hawaiian twist on the typical morning spread with Hawaiian-style ham topped with pineapple compote, fried island-style potatoes, and freshly made pineapple coconut breakfast bread. You can also get Stitch waffles here, which is super cute. Reservations are so tough to make here because of the popularity of Ohana. It never seems to die down, and for good reason. The food is great, the vibes are great. You can meet Stitch here because Ohana means family, and noodles. Just ask our shirts, which you can find at the dfbstore.com. Seriously, that's how much we love this place and its noodles and funny little chicken guys. So if you're trying to find one big meal to splurge on and you're looking for our top recommendation, we tend to direct folks to Ohana more often than not, depending on what they're looking for. But secret tip for you, even if you can't get a reservation here, Tambu Lounge right next door often offers the same Ohana noodles and Ohana bread pudding, sometimes the chicken wings, straight from the Ohana kitchen on their secret menu. So make sure to ask and see if these items are available after 4 p.m. the next time you swing by this lounge. All right, pros for Ohana. Only restaurant with Lilo and Stitch meet and greet for breakfast. Can't meet them anywhere else. Fireworks views, that's great, and breakfast has a nice twist on classic eats. Cons for this one, not every seat has fireworks viewing. If you just want Ohana noodles or bread pudding, you can get them over at Tambu Lounge, and reservations are really tough to get. Plus, for those of you who loved Ohana maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they have changed some of the cooking styles and they have changed some of the menu options. So it might not live up to what's in your head of how great Ohana was, but it is still a good meal. Trust me, I go there all the time and I gauge it accordingly. Okay, I am stuffed. What about you? So which of these restaurants would have made the top of your list? Let us know down in the comments, and don't forget, we've got even more Disney World restaurant rankings for you to check out. Head to disneyfoodblog.com/top restaurants, and we're going to send you a list of our current favorites, including our #1 spots in each park and Disney Springs. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.